You there?
Welcome back to the CEO's Grind, where we don't just talk leadership, we test it. Today's episode is about decision making under pressure. When time's tight, the stakes are high, and everyone's looking at you, at us, to make the call. So, Wes, good morning. How
Good
are
morning.
you?
How are you? Good. Thank you.
Are you ready for today's topic? How we handle pressure and how we make the decision under pressure and how you deal with it.
Yeah, I guess I don't look at things as, and maybe I'm not no Superman or anything. I don't look at things as pressure. I'm like, okay, I got an issue. Let's deal with it. And yeah, people sometimes have asked me, like, for example, when times are slow, what are we going to do? Can't make payroll, things like that. Or what are we going to do because it's slow, whatever. Then I got to make decisions like, do we lower pricing, or do we lay off people, like, so everyone's working a little bit and no one's, and no one's like just totally like laid off, that we're going to bring them back, but we share the time off. Another thing is, what do we cut? What do we cut from the budget? In the event, let's say, yeah, we're a little tight right now. What do we cut? So a lot of times I get pulled into asking those questions, and those are, I guess, panic states. They usually are in January. Usually January, February are my worst months. So these weird things come up where, it's a little panicky and nerve-wracking. But I always try never to show stress or show worry in front of everybody else. I like go in the bathroom and freaking scream real loud or something, and then come back out and act like we're in school, like, oh yeah, no big deal, and and we got this, and and I don't motivate, because if you motivate, it's like another way of like acting like you're worried and you're trying to bring up everyone's morale. I just act like it's an everyday thing, Well, that's what we're gonna do. Let's get rid of the cleaning person for 2 weeks, or let's do this or whatever, and I just make a statement. But I try to stay really calm and never play my hand of panic or worry.
And would you say that part of playing, like trying not to play, you said something about you're not trying to over explain, you're not trying to say too much, you're just trying to basically make the decision in that moment of stress versus explaining the reason behind your decision. Did I get that right?
No, I don't have a problem. No one wants to make the decision during a stressful situation. My people won't do it, probably. So I guess Sharon has done it some, but no one wants to make the decision. So they're waiting for me to make the decision. They want to hear it from me. They're waiting. Like, we don't know what to do. We're panicking. I don't necessarily like that, but I just try to stay calm and not explain. I say, well, this is what I think we should do because of this. But I try to talk it and convey, like, I got this. It's no big deal. Yeah, okay. Well, that's what we're gonna do. I mean, this is what we have to do at this time. It's not like I'm panicking, like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Yeah, I know, man. And then start hopping up and running around in circles or something. That's what I'd like to do. But jump up and run around. But I just try to play real cool. And like, I had a stressful situation a couple of weeks back in regards to having some people walk out, and everyone was like, what have you been doing? Everyone was jumping around. And after it was all said and done, I discussed it with some other people, and they thought, man, they said, I couldn't believe how cool you were under that situation. But I wasn't cool. I was panicking, and I was playing the role like I was cool, because I didn't want to have everyone panicking, and then no one can help make a decision or with an opinion. They're just freaking out. So that's what I'm saying. That's how I handle it. I just try to stay really cool. Though I'm panicking, I don't play my hand that I'm freaking out myself. And I just make a calm, cool. I think it out and then I make a decision. You know, also playing a role of being cool, calm and cool also keeps you calm and cool because, you know, you're thinking about something else, being calm and cool, not showing your panic. But I do think about that situation, whatever that situation is, and try to make an educated decision. So, how about yourself?
It really depends on the decision. I think I have done what you've done as far as like, let me just exit a little bit the situation, go shout, you know, and like really be angry. But I think it depends. Wes, it really depends on the type of pressure and oof. I think that there are times that I react in ways that I don't particularly like, right? That like just be like
We all
very
do.
and things like that. I think the ideal scenario is what you said. Like you're able to pause and know exactly right what to say and say less, which I was trying to get that. At least I got that from what you said, and it resonates with what you know
You were
I know.
trying to proceed.
Yeah, and what I know to be correct and what I strive to do more often. It's like say less in times of stress, right? Say
Right.
less in times of stress. So so that's what I strive to do. But now one follow-up question I had, a lot of the stress that you were talking about, you basically talking about a stress that came from work, right? From your job or how you earn your income, and you're trying to solve there at work. Is that the majority of your stress though?
Majority of my stress is really people problems at work. Yes, people problems at work is most of my stress. I don't necessarily feel I have stress or I don't let things stress me in my private life too bad. I try not to let things stress me here either at work. But it does happen and it just seems like the stress that I feel that if you want to know what makes you stressful, Wes, well, what really makes me stressful is people problems. When people have their own agendas, they're always thinking about themselves. What about me? Am I being cheated somehow in a relationship with the boss or lesser money or whatever it may be? Education. I'm not getting the training I think I need. They all got their own agendas. And keeping them balanced seems to be the hardest stressful thing. And I get really pissed off about it. It's like, Christ, can't people just be normal and just work as a team? You know, it kind of how but I don't let them know that I'm stressed. I'm like, okay, think about it. How can I get to this guy or how can I resolve this issue? I had an issue yesterday with someone saying, yeah, I think so-and-so is doing side jobs during the workday because they're in a position where they're not being tracked. I said, really? He goes, yeah. I said, where'd you hear that? He said, I heard it from so-and-so. I said, okay. So I got on the phone and called the guy. Where'd you hear that? This, that, and the other thing. And then I called the guy that and I did it all right in front of this guy. And then I called the guy that the rumor was about. And they say that they never know where he is, and they think he's out doing side jobs. So I called him. I said, "Where you at?" He goes, "I'm in the office talking to Katie." Yada yada. It's okay, fine. And I looked at the guy who made the rumor. I said, "I guess that ain't happening." Huh? I said, "Stop spreading rumors. We don't need it in the company. It's bad. It's bad for morale." I says, if he's going to do side jobs, we're going to catch it sooner or later, but he's not. Apparently, he's not. This is what you're hearing. Don't even believe it. Don't fall into the trap of listening to that bullshit. So I just attacked it right away. Stopped that rumor. Not only it was a rumor, but it was a people problem. Someone maybe wants more money, so they're going to do side jobs secretly, whatever. I don't know. It's a bunch of crap. And I try not to get involved in the drama of the company, but I do keep my feelers out to find out if someone's unhappy. Because they're unhappy, you have a chance of losing them.
Right. Sorry,
So
I'm
it's the juggling of people's personal issues and people's characters is what I find is the hardest thing, and that's what gets me stressed out. It's like, God damn it, I got another person that's sad. I got another person that's upset about something that I have to address, or it's got to be addressed somehow. A lot of times I don't even,
No, I was gonna ask you something, because that's like really talking about stress, right? Like that there's that exterior stress, but then there's also tough calls, right? You really having to make a decision between A and B, or A or B, or a set of decisions, but you got to that decision point, decided how to deal with the stress. That's one aspect, right? There's that. But then there is, how do you move, right? How do you make the decision and you're comfortable with? Is there a mental model that you use?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think, how's it going to benefit the company? How's it going to benefit me? Is there a win here? Yeah. What is the let's just say it was a really worse of two evils, then, okay, which one is going to be more detrimental to the company? Which one, what bad decision should I only have two decisions. They're both bad. Which one would be the best route?
Right.
And I break it down that way. What's going to help the company? And then, I think about it, like, for example, one time one guy says, I don't like your face on the side of the trucks. And I thought to myself, well, I could take his opinion very seriously. And he says, don't put your face on the side of my truck. And I thought to myself, I'm paying for these trucks. I don't tell you how to decorate yours.
Right.
And we have it. And I had followed instructions from a marketing company that I trust. I have to trust them. So no, we're putting my face in the truck. If you don't like it, then go away. I don't know what to tell you. But he was threatening, if you put your face on the truck, I'm quitting. I was like, okay, well, go away then. I didn't spend $150,000 on vehicles, and then you decide that you're going to tell me how to run my show, my game. At the end of the day, I always look at it this way, and it sounds very arrogant, but I always say, I don't say this to them, but I think this. I hired you to help me reach my goals, my dreams. If you are not in line with my goals and dreams, apparently you have your own agenda. I don't need you. You're not part of the team anymore. I don't need you part of the team anymore. If your agenda doesn't conform to mine, because I hire you, I pay you to help me reach my goals, which sounds very arrogant and selfish. But if you're not going to help me reach my goals, I don't need you. Cosmo, you're on mute.
I apologize. Would people consider Wesley Rosenberg like a fast decision maker?
They do, and sometimes some people think some people think that I make some rash decisions. But believe it or not, I really do think these out before I do make a fast decision. Though it's fast, I think fast. I'm fast on my feet, but they aren't just rash decisions like, fire them or hire them or do this or do that. I don't do that. I'm like, okay, man, I think it through. I slow down and think it through.
Sometimes you have to slow it down, don't you?
A lot of times you do, and a lot of times in every decision, you got to slow down and think, how is this going to play out? I always try to think in the future, how's it going to play out? What's the end result I want it to be? And then
So what's the upside, right? Oftentimes you're looking at, okay, this is scary. I don't know, but there's more upside in trying to go for what I want, right? Trying to go for that than to staying still, because there is a cost of
staying still.
Staying still. There's a cost of staying still. There's a cost of continuing to do the same thing, right? What is the opportunity cost every week that you don't apply for that, solution, or that, what is the opportunity cost that you don't apply for the loan that you need to fund your next project or your next department, that you don't post that job for the position that you really know you need, but you can't really, take the next obvious step to just sit down and do it. There is a cost. And I think what I do in decision making that I left for last is the following. I always go back to fundamentals. And the fundamentals, they come into the numbers. A decision is about numbers. If you're talking about business, if your business goal is to make money through selling a product, that decision should be linked to that. And if it is, even slightly, you will be able to put a number to. Once you know that number and you know the effort, then the decision becomes easier. If the numbers are right and I'm still uncomfortable about making the decision, then I can continue following the process and go, who is around me that has some impact in the way that I'm feeling about this? Because it is not the opportunity, right? There is some other type of blowback that I'm expecting or anticipating, and I need to confront that head on. So that is essentially my mental model that I go to in worst case scenario. If I can make a quick decision and I'm still kind of back to the numbers, let's see how long it's going to take me to get to the numbers. And usually it won't take long, but let's understand that.
I want to say one thing too. They always say fire fast, hire slow. Have you heard that expression?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, fire fast, hire slow. If I have a weakness, a lot of times it's the firing fast. If that's a weakness, and it's always because I'm always trying to make it work. I think about, I have too much empathy, I guess, or compassion. And I think, that guy's got a family to feed. I could, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm trying to make it work. If I can just help him here, then he could grow in that area, and then that'll eliminate my problem, whatever. And then over a period of time, you know what, this ain't working, cut the rope and get rid of the guy. And sometimes it's been too long. It should have been 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I tried it, and I worked on this. It was very hard for me, and I worked on it, and I started cutting months off. I have to have a decision by.
I see. That is also another little tool. It's like, give yourself a timeline, right? Give yourself like a real timeline that is yours. And just a quick one, any specific thing, is there one, you don't even need to tell what it is, but is there one decision that you have made in the past that you would love to be able to take it back? Business wise, let's just focus on business wise. Otherwise you say getting married.
Yeah, there are many.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of them aren't necessarily. A lot of them were how I handled people, or I didn't address their concerns or their ailment, I guess, in life correctly, or I approached it wrong, or my delivery was wrong. They perceived it the wrong way. So I have made problems. I mean, I'm not perfect by no means. I'm just trying to get through this world like everybody else is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I always
and here's the thing, right? Was the pressure that it never leaves. We just get a little bit better in identifying ahead of time and planning how we decide. We start building our mental models. We have, I go back to my numbers, right? you make sure that you are showing a stoic attitude when you're making the decision. And you're also go back to previous decision and you question, was that a good or bad decision? So you're doing a post-mortem of that decision. But I will pinpoint something real quick before we go. What you answer as far as the decisions that you will go back, you didn't necessarily say that you would go back on your decision. You will go back in the way that you went about it.
Right.
Which that's usually what we learn, right? So thank you so much for joining. We'll see you guys on the next episode. My name is Jay Silva.
Wes Rosenberg.
Have a great one. Stay on the grind.